Hi, happy Wednesday to everyone. Welcome to another episode of Brand Experience Live. My name is Ashley Pireda, and I'm one of the co-hosts here for Brand Experience Live. In case you're joining us for the first time, this is a live LinkedIn video podcast that we host every Wednesday at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time, where we speak with the individuals and brands providing unrivaled and exceptional brand experience for their candidates, employees, prospects, and buyers. And as usual, every single week, I am joined by my friend, co-founder of Ivory Gold and co-host Lago Moik.
Hello, Ashley. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. Jumping with the result, I'm loving it. But I can't believe another week is gone. This is our already 11th or 12th episode. It's just flying. Mm-hmm. And today's guest, actually, I'm going to introduce in a minute, is Rosemary Ravinal. And we met not through LinkedIn, but power of in-person events. I actually attended a conference. Yes, and I actually made an effort, and I heard her speaking, and I was like, wow, we need her, So I would love to introduce Rosemary Ravinal. Excuse if I don't say your name correct. You are C-level public speaking coach, very highly recognized English-Spanish media trainer, and I understand you mainly obviously focusing with C-level executives, but I'm sure you also help others, obviously who would love to, have a better way communicating their personal brand and anything else, the message, So welcome, Rosemary.
Thank you to you both. It's so wonderful to be here with you. And of course, we met at a live event. And that was, to me, one of the few that I had attended in a very long time. And it was almost like I've been let out of jail, right?
I know. I was the same. I was the same. I was like wanting to talk to everyone, in person, saying hi.
Not that I've ever been in jail, but I can only imagine what it feels like, right?
Yeah, no.
And
so nice
actually wonderful to meet you virtually.
Likewise.
This is one of my favorite topics because you said that I am a C-suite executive speaker coach, but in essence, I am a speaker coach, a communications coach, because what I love to do is I love to achieve transformations, meaning that it's great to work with the C-suite because honestly, they are the ones that sometimes need it the most, yet they're more reluctant or resistant because who are you to tell me I'm the CEO of a company? Who are you to tell me how to do things differently? And it's that self-aware CEO or C-suite person who recognizes that he or she has some weaknesses in the way they convey their ideas, whether it be to sell, to persuade, to build community, to even for their own interview aspirations, they may be looking for another position or be in consideration for a board of directors role. We're always working with our brand identity. And sometimes we forget that we have a personal brand, and that personal brand includes not only our innate personality, which is not really something we can change. We're sort of born the way we are born, but we have different styles of communication, of self-expression. And those things we often don't learn properly. And so we just stumble around until someone says, you could do that better. Or did you think about doing it this way? And then it's like the whole sky opens up and they say, I'm missing out on this opportunity to really be a more effective communicator, because there's nothing better than that sound of the human voice to persuade us.
Yeah.
Right. We want to hear from people. We hear from our friends, from our family, from our peers, from experts. And it's that information conveyed through the voice that really makes a big difference.
I love your voice already,
I know, like, tell me more. Exactly. I feel the same way.
We like to rumble around, but she's so
it's funny about what I just said about voice, because today I posted on LinkedIn something about, it's like a poll. Do you like the sound of your voice? And it's very early to tell what the results are. But I asked that because I realized that even myself, for a long time, when I heard my voice on a recording, I said, it sounds like a little girl. It sounds so high pitched. It sounds girly. And I wanted to sound more authoritative. But we sound different in a recording because we have our own, obviously, way of hearing ourselves through our own skulls and our own ears. But then when we're conveying our voices through an electronic device, through a medium, through some kind of technology, that's going to distort in some way. So our voices, even male voices, tend to sound just a little bit higher in pitch. So that might mean that if we were to do really more, authority, kind of very, commanding presentation, you might want to play around with bringing your pitch down just a little bit so that you have more gravitas.
I can relate to that personally. I'm most of my career, I have strived to be at like the big boys table, right? And work my way up to, and I've been in a lot of male dominated roles and industries and manufacturing and sales. And that's something that I've noticed I've naturally done over time is when I get to that physical table with all of the men, I do tend to mirror whatever it is that I'm hearing in terms of tone and voice and volume so that I can be perceived differently. And that's something that I've done that just comes naturally to me. And it possibly does because of my sales training in, mirror your audience.
Yes.
But I've noticed that as well for me personally. I love that you hit on that.
Yeah, it's helpful. You're professionals at this. I mean, you've been doing these podcasts, so you hear yourselves, and you're very aware of how you sound. But there's people who, when they see a video recording, like my clients, when I train, I use video recordings, which is a basic teaching tool. And when they hear themselves, they say, "Oh no, it doesn't sound like me," because they're not accustomed to it.
So this is really important because, like, for us, it's for me, it's something new as well. Like, I was not comfortable being in front of the camera, but then I thought, listen, I'm a human. I'm connecting with other humans. I don't have to be perfect. I make mistakes. Yes. My voice goes up and down. I ramble, obviously everything. But I noticed since we started, I actually feel a little bit more confident now behind the camera. And that's natural because you practice and practice. And every time you kind of know where to look, you don't look anywhere to the left or right. And also you can change and manipulate your voice a little bit. So talking about the voice, because we're talking about the brand building, and personal brand. And it doesn't matter, is it C-level or anyone else of us, it's very important. The first thing is a visual. Obviously, we see each other, we connect. And the other thing is a voice. It's a second, really important element. So how we can really present ourselves, what is the best way to kind of present ourselves to be authentic self and kind of know that this is my personal brand.
Oh, you've hit on my favorite topic.
Yeah.
I
love that, Lagla.
During the lockdown, I created a methodology called the Zoom score.
Wow.
And it's trademarked, and it couples with another method, another structure called assets. But let me do the assets first before I do Zoom score. These techniques are very much grounded on the fact that the way our brains process information, it's very, very video heavy, very visual data.
Yes.
So we process 90% to 10% auditory. So 90% of the intake is visual, 10% is auditory.
Yeah.
And when we're looking at body language versus spoken language ratio, it's about 55% versus 45%. So auditory. So the predominant way that we we interpret messages is through the visual, through our smile,
Yeah.
nodding, gestures, and so
Mhm.
forth. So the voice alone is important, but it doesn't, when it's complemented with the visual that is conveyed through our person, but also the visual that is conveyed through everything in what I call the real estate in which we operate.
Mm.
Meaning this rectangle is a piece of real estate. And in this
Uh-huh.
real estate, I can put a handmade tapestry, I can put embroidered pillows, I can put silk flowers. My trademark flower is the sunflower. I can put items and artifacts that reflect my personality.
Yes.
Everybody can do that.
Yes.
You can do something that is indicative of your industry, of your profession. If you're a doctor, if you're a chiropractor, if you're a beautician, if you are a seamstress, whatever you are, fashion designer, these are all things that have strong visual language, and
Yes.
so and imagery. So you basically tell most of your story by populating
Mm.
your shot with those elements, as you would if you were doing an ad, or if you were doing
Mhm.
a shoot for your brochure or for your website. It's the same thing. But why do we skip those steps when we're doing video conferencing or podcasts? We sometimes get a little bit sloppy, and where we might go for a virtual background that we take from the Zoom library, as opposed to
Mhm.
creating something that is ours, right? Or we'll use the swing palm trees, but if you go that route, do a green screen behind you. It's simple to do. There's many different models. It's just a piece of fabric. They come in different types. You can the fold up, the kind that folds into a small round circle that opens up and is 60 inches wide behind your chair. They're now so affordable now that there is so much competition. There
Mhm.
is just on Amazon alone, you can go, you can for $25, you can have a decent green screen, and you can look so much better. So what I'm talking about in terms of the assets and the Zoom score is basically the asset is the first A is appearance. So how you
Okay.
show up, right? How you're groomed, how you're dressed, uh, basic grooming and styling of your hair, of the color of your clothing, making sure you don't have, for example, there's some textile patterns that have a lot of polka dots, a lot of little
Mm.
thin lines, and you might
Yeah.
notice this even on cable news interviews that they become electric. They
Yeah.
become like zigzaggy, becomes like little ants crawling on someone's
Yeah.
shirt, right? Because of the way the camera processes that kind of an image. You can't define where the line ends and where the white begins because
Mhm.
it's a lot of data. So avoid that altogether. Wear solid colors when you can, or something that doesn't have that bold a pattern. So that's one. Also, a lot of jewelry, a lot of flashy stuff, things that jingle and jangle, unless it's part of your thing, right? If
Mhm.
you're a belly dancer, you might want to have that kind of thing going on, right? It's all relative, but that's what I'm saying. Stay true to brand. Stay true to
Yes.
brand.
Always.
So appearance. Secondly, your and with the appearance comes something very important, which is the how you're framed. Sometimes you start a call and you see the person is like down here, like you can just see that
Yeah.
down here, yeah, right? Or
Uh-huh.
they're towering over
Or they're
like
so
this,
close.
right? Right? Yeah. Or it's shooting from down below and you see the chin, and
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
it's
my
not flattering for
favorite.
anybody. So set yourself up the way you would if you were in a portrait session. Both of
Yeah.
you are
Mm.
perfectly, set up in your shot. What I say to people is try to make virtual as human as you can.
Yes.
Mm.
Okay. So it's
Yes.
almost as if by having these proportions of being in the center, of looking straight at the camera, of being framed so that your eyes are approximately at if there was a line up here and then a line down here, we call it the rule of thirds. Most cameras have a grid. You can access it on your mobile device. You can go to grid, and you'll
Hmm.
see that there's a grid pattern that comes
Okay.
naturally with the app. So the eye should be at the top line. So that gives you a sense, kind of like you're framing it properly. So make sure you have the proper lighting, that your face is evenly lit, so that you don't, for example, it's a rule of thumb, see a shadow from your nose. You shouldn't see a shadow cast on your upper lip. That's one rule of thumb, or too much of a shadow on your neck. That means your light is uneven. So that's one thing. So appearance. The next one is staging and styling, the two S's. So what I talked about is what's behind you, what props do you have that can be conversation starters, like in sales. Let's say you have a basketball jersey and it's like your favorite team, but the person you're talking to says, "Hey, well, how about that season when they almost made it to the, to the finals?" And it's a conversation starter.
Yes.
And or if it's tennis, or if it's music, or if it's a theater poster or film poster, or a photo or drawing of something of your favorite place on earth, or photographs you've taken, of your various trips. All these things are things that speak to who you are. So, try to find those things that you feel good about, because the whole thing, it's not just you, it's everything in the shot speaks to what you stand for. And then, so that's the staging and styling. And then the other one is the energy and emotion. So energy and emotion is what I convey in my voice, my vocal variety. If I really want to make a point, I'm going to maybe raise my volume. I'm going to be more staccato in emphasizing certain words. I may change the rhythm to give you more pauses, to give you time to fully understand what I'm saying. I'm going to use my body. I'm going to use my hands in different gestures.
I feel like she's talking about me right now.
I know.
Well, I didn't make this up. This is all scientifically proven. But I just promote it because I feel so strongly about it. And there's people who never use their hands. But you're missing.
I do all the time.
I should be framed a little bit more, showing my waist. But make sure that you can always use your hands. You can use your hands, even if you wanted to say, "I really believe this," and you gesture slightly towards the camera. I mean, that's a really, like, I'm saying, "Listen to me," right? That's like a moment, like, "What you doing?" Right? And it just brings emotion, because that energy translates into emotion, and we know that emotion is the best way to get to the brain.
Yes.
That's what people remember.
It's so great.
I love that you've said all of this. I have posted videos on LinkedIn specifically talking about all of these things that you just said, because when individuals first started posting videos on LinkedIn, and still really not a lot of people do it. I do it because that's my personality. I love to connect with other people, and I want them to know me. I want them to know how I speak, how I move, how I use all of my hands, and everything that I do as a person. If you were here with me face to face, and I saw at one point in time a lot of comments and posts on LinkedIn saying, "Don't have anything distracting and keep your hands down and just, focus on the words that you're saying." And I posted a video specifically of me, like, I messed up in the video and made mistakes. I was talking with my hands. My background was, at the time, my kids were at home and my background was just a mess. And so I purposely took this video, though, talking about how there are things going on around you, but you need to bring yourself as authentically as you are, especially depending on the message that you're sending. So that video was, it was overboard, but I love that you just said all of this, because I feel like you just described me and who I am and how I am.
Yeah, we're not cardboard boxes. We're not cutouts, that you can just prop up anywhere. We're living, breathing human beings. Now, if you have a lot of pets, or you have small children who are going to want to be in the shot because they love to see what mommy's doing, then you might want to just close the door or put a partition behind you.
Yeah.
But should they turn up in your shot, you just simply say, "Hey, here's my son or my daughter. Hi, hi.
Here's my human."
Yeah. And just go with the flow. But you need to be energetic, enthusiastic. You need to smile. You need to nod. You have to use your hands. You have to use your hands, because this is as much a part of our words as the actual words we're saying.
Completely
Yeah.
agree.
And I can relate to, it's not just only speakers. You see, I started to use my hands now. But it's not just only speakers. It's really like anything in life. Doesn't matter if you are yoga teacher, a personal trainer, or
Mhm.
anything you do, because you align with that person, because like for me, it's super
Mm,
important when I go and choose a yoga teacher. If they don't engage like emotionally with me, the voice is boring,
yes.
they are just there, I'm not going to go back there. So they
Yes.
personal brand represents them, doesn't matter what they do. And I can choose then.
Right.
And I always probably go with someone who actually gets me. I feel the energy, I feel emotions,
Yeah.
connections. Of course, they're gonna see me again. So it's very important. The same thing when you do this podcast. Like I'm sure our lovely listeners have seen, like we are very authentic because
Yes,
it's
we
Yes.
just
are.
Ashley and myself, usually, and it's just very natural. And I actually personally like pulled a face another couple of weeks ago, and I got a comment saying you were very brave to do it, and I said yes because I'm a human. So it's
Yes.
absolutely fine to do these things, and I think it's kind of people who remember you. That it's not
Yes.
just rehearsed; it's actually comes.
And well, there has to be a little bit of preparation, particularly
Yes.
if you're trying
Of
to
course.
communicate, convey specific ideas. But you need to be authentic in order to build trust. Trust
Yeah.
Yes.
is golden. If you
Yes.
don't build trust, then just in any marketing, anything transactional, anything where
Hmm.
you're trying to build a sense of a workforce, a team, motivate people, you got to have change opinions. You got
Yes.
to have trust, and
Yes.
Yes.
trust comes with that authenticity, that sense of honesty. This is who I am,
Yeah.
Hmm.
but I'm also honoring you by showing up as my best. My
Yes.
hair is combed. If I were a man, I would have either shaved or trimmed my beard, whatever I choose, but be well groomed. Sometimes people have gotten so lazy during
Mm.
lockdown that they would show up with hair standing up on end and just really shabby. At the very least, go to a little effort to say to the other person, I am honoring our time together by showing up
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
I
right.
agree with that completely.
And I believe also this is actually what happened. The trend was during this pandemic when we started to work from home. We first showed up, first we were kind of fully ready, like going to work. But then what happened, people started to kind of slack, think, oh, it's just a Zoom call, with my colleagues, and I'm just going to be in my PJs and stuff. I personally also did it a little bit. And then I realized, oh my God, it's really changing my mindset. And I need to, if I
Yes.
feel confident, I have a client call or anything, I actually want to dress up for that, put the normal clothes on, make myself ready like I go to work and show up in person, because it made me feel so much better and confident. And I think that's something we can also do through the cameras. People get it. I think they realize now, oh my God, they are in PJs.
There is still
So,
resistance, because remember, there
Hmm.
were these lots of articles talking about Zoom fatigue and Zoom
Yeah.
gloom, and
mm,
people were tired of being on camera all the time.
Yeah.
Or people in large organizations would complain that they were ignored, they didn't get enough attention, their questions
yeah,
weren't being answered, and
Hmm.
part of it was self-inflicted, because if you don't show up on camera, first of all, it's almost like you're not there. Number one.
Yeah.
yeah,
Number two, if you don't interject and ask a question or know the protocol, I mean, obviously someone needs to run the meetings, but I say to my clients, in any meeting, whether it's on video or in person, say something.
Hmm.
yeah,
Acknowledge someone, praise someone, ask an intelligent
Yes.
question. Make sure
Yes.
your voice is your presence is known at some point.
yeah,
Don't just sit quietly in the corner
Hmm.
thinking, oh, nobody wants to hear from me, or I don't have anything intelligent to say. Of course you
yes,
do, even if you're agreeing with something that Lagla just said, right? Or I'm just paraphrasing something Ashley just said. It gives me a voice, and it's almost like saying,
Yes.
"Oh yeah, Rosemary was there. I heard her speak.
yes,
Yes."
Hmm.
And then it's otherwise you're giving up your power. So if
Mm.
yeah,
you if we
Yes.
experience that day in, day out, of course we're going to get tired. We're going to get tired of being ignored. Right? We're going to get tired of not feeling valued or important or relevant. So that after a while really does a number on you psychologically.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
yeah.
Wow, so small things, like so small things we can do just to show up and really be present, in this moment. So I made notes, lots of notes. I can see Ashley made notes as well.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
did. And I think
and
yeah.
don't forget one more thing, really important. Interviews. You know that like 60% of job interviews, if not more, the first and second rounds are on video.
Yes.
So, you do something on Indeed or LinkedIn, and you have the video option of doing a video interview as a first step. If you don't progress past that step because you showed up looking awful, or you weren't prepared to speak intelligently to the camera, or you were in the shadow, in a
Yeah.
closet with a light behind you, and or you were dressed shabbily, you may not get that second interview. So there's a
First
lot at stake.
impressions.
Yeah, the
First
first
impressions are
impression.
everything.
You know the saying, right? You don't have a second chance to make a good first impression.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
It's true.
Yeah. I love that you just brought that up too, because my next question or comment was going to be based on in-person appearances, whether that's for interviews or keynote speaking opportunities or positioning yourself as a subject matter expert or speaking in front of your peers or leaders or employees that are on your team or anyone else thereon after. When you get in the same mode of, I don't want to say like not caring, but I think we've over exaggerated I'm going to show up authentically in a lot of ways, especially on video with what we just talked about. If you like shift your mindset to, oh, this is me, love it or leave it, then you are probably going to miss out on those opportunities that are really important to you later on. I know, at least with me, with the individuals that I coach on individual brand, or the leaders that I've worked with either in their organizations or they were even my employers and I was coaching them on individual brand. This is something that a lot of them, especially the higher up you go, a lot of them really focus on wanting their presence to be known. And that means that you have to be consistent everywhere that you go so that others know what to expect. And I love that you just brought that up in terms of the interviews, because there are a lot of job seekers that are listening to this as well. Whether you're passively or actively looking, most individuals want a better opportunity to create a better life for themselves. And this is how you do it.
Yes. I'm glad you brought up the authenticity. I brought it up earlier, but you took it to another level, which I think bears discussion. Some people are misusing the term authenticity.
Yes.
They're using it as an excuse to be shabby, to be sloppy, messy, and crude. Hey, it's just me. I'm being authentic. No.
Yes.
Being authentic really means being true to yourself and being in alignment with who you are, with your brand, and to a large extent being aligned with the people who you're serving. Because every time you speak, you are in service to the other person. You're not speaking you're not speaking because you love the sound of your voice and you just like to hear yourself talk.
Hopefully.
You're speaking in service to someone. I'm speaking in service to both of you. I'm speaking in service to the people who are watching this, because that's why I'm here. I'm not here, to look at my image on the screen. I'm here to share information that can be of value, that I feel I've worked hard to develop this so that I believe it's a benefit that I bring to people. And it's my pride and joy to share it, but it's in service to other people. So if you think about you're being in service to others, it just makes it so much, first of all, it takes a lot of pressure off of you to perform. Right. And if you know that you're bringing value at the end of the day, what we need to bring to a transaction is value. I brought value to you in some way.
Yeah. Wow. I love this conversation. It's just a completely different, turn we were expecting. It's so amazing. So tell us, Rosemary, obviously, we love everything you do. I put your banner out there as well, so our lovely viewers can connect with you. They can also, obviously, if they want opportunities to be better speakers, improve their, obviously, presence, you do all the coaching and stuff. But do you have anything coming up, like where we can see you?
Yes, I have a couple of things. First, when you go to LinkedIn, go to my website and join my inner circle, rosemaryravinal.com. Sign
Okay.
up. I put out a video newsletter every other week, and then I do a blog the week after. And so there's a lot of video lessons like this. Recently, I did one on how to use a microphone properly, and I illustrate the technique. And it's different than other trainers are doing. I really look at what my clients really need, and then I put that to work for other people. I also have a number of PDF downloads from how to do a podcast to how to do a video interview to how to look your best on Zoom,
I
and an
love this.
executive presence ebook. So you'll see that under resources, and you can download that for free.
That's
Then I
fantastic.
have a Zoom score, which I mentioned earlier, which is basically a 10-point checklist of appearance and styling and lighting and all those things. By the way, I forgot to mention the last after emotion and energy is the T is technology. You have to
Yeah.
know the basics of what you got to work with, right? The basics.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying to go buy a fancy camera, webcam, or a fancy microphone. Know how to work with what you have.
Yes.
And if what you have doesn't work, then upgrade a little bit. But there's a lot of ways, even with an iPhone, as you know, to get a wonderful quality image and a good video quality. So you can, but know the technology, know how to share a screen, know how to start and end a call. Very basic things. Whatever the platform is, go in early, rehearse it. Make sure you know, like with StreamYard or Restream or any other where you might be invited to be a guest. Make sure you know how it works and do a tech check. So
Yes.
make sure your technology is in order. So with the Zoom scores, basically 10 fundamental things, and you just basically go check, and you can just do a
Awesome.
self-assessment. Yeah.
That's
So
so
all of
wonderful.
that is in my website.
That's
That's
so
perfect.
wonderful. And I saw something recently too. You're local to us here in South Florida, and you've recently taken over something in the area that helps other individuals as well focus on their public speaking and how to serve others, getting back to that
Yeah.
Yes.
through their shares. What I'm not even going to try to pronounce it. I'm sorry.
Well, I'm part of an organizing committee, and now I'm going to be the director going into next year. Again, I'm going to say it as a Spanish speaker would say it, but it's a Japanese name,
Uh-huh.
Pecha Kucha. It is spelled P-E. It's actually pronounced in Japanese something like Pecha Kucha, something. Obviously, I can't speak Japanese, but it means in colloquial jargon in Japan, it means chit chat, just basically casual talk.
Mhm.
And it is a art form that started about 20 years ago in Tokyo, now is practiced in 1,300 cities around the globe. And
Wow.
it is a structured presentation format that requires 20 audiovisual slides, so mainly just static slides, that auto advance every 20 seconds. So that's a total of 6 minutes and 40 seconds of
Wow.
presentation.
Wow.
The beauty of it is that if you have a tendency to ramble and you do a pechacucha, you have to stick within those because the slides are going to change every 20 seconds. And if you're talking about a dog and then the next image is a cat and you're still talking about dogs, it's going to look a little strange.
Uh-huh.
So you need to move on to the next topic or the next segment or the next idea
That's
because it's going
great.
to go without you. And I use it as a training tool for clients who have
Mhm.
difficulty condensing, editing down, cutting down. And it's just a marvelous, very lively way of sharing ideas. We're doing something in Miami on November 10th. Everyone
Okay.
who is watching is invited, and hopefully you can share the link. It's Pechacucha Night Miami. It's November 10th, 7 p.m. at the Lightbox Theater in
Okay.
Wynwood in Miami. The website is pechacuchamia.com. And
Mhm.
you can see who's in the lineup. We have 10 amazing speakers, all from, regular thought leaders, not regular, I mean, thought leaders, regular people. They're not professional speakers, all who are passionate about a particular type of work, whether it be nonprofit, artistic. So
Mhm.
we have a photographer, we have yoga teachers, we have people who do athletic sports with a variety of people who have some physical impairment, and it's just
Wow.
all over the spectrum in terms of really stretching our minds, watching people having fun, sharing their ideas, and then afterwards everybody gets on stage and we talk.
Oh,
And
wow.
That's
it's really,
great.
really fun. So November 10th, everybody has an invitation to come and join us.
That's
It's
great.
at this small theater, very intimate, and you can have fun in Wynwood afterwards.
Wow. That's
That's
amazing.
fantastic. And I think that's an exercise that most individuals, especially in our audience, could absolutely use because
Yeah.
they are in a position where they're giving presentations or they're focused on acquiring new prospects and buyers or leading a team, getting new roles that
Yeah.
are more senior level and executive roles. And I think that an exercise like that, regardless of who you are, what you do, if you're public speaking or not, that's something that's going to help you grow as a person and enhance the relationships around you. I've never heard of that. I think that's wonderful. I'm going to be looking that up. I think that's great.
Yeah, me too, definitely.
Terrific. Yeah, we use it in business settings as well. It's used to train small teams in concise presentations. So I know you like it. You can also watch past presentations. There's recordings there that you
Okay.
can watch and enjoy.
That's wonderful. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us today. We really, really enjoyed this conversation. If you all have not already, please connect with Rosemary on LinkedIn. We'll also be including her website and the one for Pechakucha in the comments. Did I do? Yeah. Normally I'm like, say it confident and you're good. And I did not.
You did.
So we'll be including that for everyone in the comments. Please feel free to connect with Rosemary if you have any other questions in terms of creating your personal or individual brand, communication, how to present yourself in a better manner for work, personal, other ongoing opportunities. I'm sure she would love to connect with any of you. If you are an individual also that has or works for an incredible brand that is also serving unrivaled brand experiences for either your internal employees, candidates, prospects, or buyers, Lagla and I would love to share your story and continue to help the world around us. Because for us, that's really what it's about, is how do we make each other better in the end? We would love to talk to you, but this is it for today. So thank you once again, Rosemary, for joining us.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
It was so wonderful. And y'all, we'll be back next week on Wednesday, of course, at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time for another episode of Brand Experience Live.
Thank you, everyone. And thank you, Rosemary.